Hello, I welcome you to Cherish TV, your number one TV station where we look at your health, Christian values, and moral issues. Today, I want to take you through intellectual disability. When we talk about intellectual disability, we are talking about the inability of someone to behave intellectually. We are talking about the adaptive and then the intellectual functioning of that person. Now, before you diagnose someone with intellectual disability, the person must be diagnosed before the age of 18. So it's normally done during infancy. And during that period, you must be able to know whether when you pick that child with other children, they are able to perform like age mates, they are able to perform in that average when it comes to their ability to be able to reason, the ability to be able to make decisions, the ability to be able to learn, and the ability to solve problems, and the ability to be able to adapt to life situation. So when we talk about intellectual disability, we are talking about someone who is not able to adapt, who is not able to reason or make decision or learn when you compare that person's age with others. Now, what are some of the causes that can lead to intellectual disability in a child? It can be by trauma before birth. Trauma before birth means during the pregnancy, there may be some form of infections. The child may have experienced some form of infection. It can be any form of infection. It can be syphilis, HIV. It can be any other form of infection. That infection that has affected the child in the womb. It can be that the mother was exposed to alcohol or any form of hard drug. It can also be the cause. That can be the trauma before birth. It can also be trauma during birth. Like during birth, when the child is deprived with a lot of oxygen, maybe there's delay in labor and the parents were not able to make the right decision at the right time, it can lead to less oxygen or oxygenated blood going to the child, which can affect the child's brain, and thereby the child is deprived of oxygen, causing that intellectual disability when the child is born. It can be an inherited disorder, like in some lineage, you will find that they are not intellectually stable or they are not intellectually inclined. They are not good when it comes to intellectual issues. So it can be by inheritance. It can also be that the mother was pregnant, there was poverty, so the mother lacked nutritional values and other things to be able for the child to get and boost the child's immune system, boost the child's development, boost the formation of the child so that the child becomes something relevant. So intellectual disability, we may talk about two major things. We are talking about the intellectual functioning and then the adaptive behavior of the person. So when we talk about the intellectual functioning, we are talking about the person's ability to be able to learn, to be able to reason, to be able to make decisions and solve problems. Like for instance, if you take that child with that age, maybe the child is 3 years, with another child which is 3 years, you must realize that if that the other one is able to recite ABCD up to Z and maybe count 1 2 3 from 1 up to maybe 10 or 20, the other child may not even be able to do any of such. So you can conclude from that there's a problem. Then you can also look at the adaptive behavior of the person. These are skills that are necessary for day-to-day life, such as being able to communicate effectively. So at a particular age of a child, you must be able to know whether this child is communicating effectively. Maybe at the age of 3, but the child cannot even mention mama, daddy. The child cannot even say simple words like A or B. The child cannot even mention simple things like a name. Like a name like Kofi, John, Amma. The child cannot do that. Then it means that there is problem with communication. This means that there's problem with communication. Now, when it comes to intellectual disability, we must realize that all children are not equal. So there may be instances that these problems may occur. But one thing is that if the child is not able to communicate or adapt or make decisions at that stage in life, when the child is growing, there are other forms that the child can move into. That is why it's very important that When we realize the child can do good when it comes to craftsmanship, we must quickly put the child to that direction. We must know that it's not everybody that is intellectually inclined to be able to compete with others. And so when we talk about the intellectual aspect, which is the IQ, someone may have a low IQ, that is intelligent quotient. Someone may have a low IQ compared to the other. So you must not say because this child IQ is low, the person is useless. No, there are other forms the person can do well in. There are other things the person can do well. So we must be able to identify those things as parents. So intellectual disability is common, but we must know that the child can do well in other aspects of life, and the child can be able to make decisions in other aspects. Not necessarily being, maybe you want a child to become maybe a doctor, a teacher, this and that, and the child is not able to do that. Then you conclude that the child is not intellectually stable, or the child is not intellectually okay. You must be able to know what the child can be able to do. And when it comes to intellectual disability, at the early stage in life, there are ways that you can help the child. You can help the child to be able to come out from it. You must expose the child to a lot of things. Sometimes it's common nowadays that on the television you will see that there are rhymes, there are videos, there are short films and other things for this child to be watching every day. So you must expose the child to those things, and you must expose the child to other people. Some people, because they are confined to the environment, they find it very difficult to come out. So expose the child to other environments so that the child could be able to come out with what is in them. And you must also know that there are other ways that can help. The child, when the brain is at that tender age, gets a lot of nourishment, the brain is able to become a bit alert, which can help. There are some form of supplement and other things that can help the child to be able to improve upon their intellectual level. So we must know that. So don't just keep the child in the house or reject the child or refuse to take care of the child thinking that that's the end of the child. Help the child to be able to come out from that issue. There are ways. Take the child to the hospital, seek medical care, seek for other advices at appropriate places that you need those advices to be able to help that child out. So if your child is having difficulty with learning at school, you can help the child. Even normally in our houses, if you make sure the child takes in a well-balanced diet full of vitamins, full of a lot of minerals and the rest, taking in fruit and vegetables at appropriate proportion, that child can increase their intellectual ability. And there are supplements that can help. If you have any child like that and you need our help, just hit us in our DM. Hit us in our DM. We'll be able to help you. If you have a child that is having problem with intellectual ability, the child is not able to cope in school, hit us in our DM. And if you are an adult and maybe you are having frequent forgetfulness, hit us in our DM. And don't forget to subscribe to Cherish TV. We come your way with more of this so that you'll be able to live a healthy life. Cherish TV all the way. Cherish TV the best. Hit us, subscribe, invite others, like our page, our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is Cherish TV. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cherish TV. We are always the best.